a very warm welcome to you all to this celebration of a new installation of life-changing technology from Lifelight to Julia's House devices. I'm joined remotely today by Martin Edwards, who's the CEO of Julia's House. And Martin, very warm welcome to you and thank you for your support over the years. It's one of my first official events as new CEO of Lifelights. And I know that Lifelights has been donating packages of technology to Julia's House since 2006. So it's a very long association and one which we're very proud about. Martin, I wonder if you could first tell us about your first experience of seeing the life limited and disabled children in your care using the technology that we've donated.
Well, one of the first pieces of play tech that I saw the children using was avatars. So they were recording messages to each other, having conversations with each other as terracotta warriors or as statues of Buddha or the Sphinx. In fact, we used some of that in one of our own conferences with our volunteers as well, and just as a really funny way of opening it. I was also struck by the value of the sensory suitcases, the portable suitcases that nurses and carers could take with them on their home visits, because for some children, either the distance or the sheer difficulty of transporting all their medical equipment means that getting to the hospice can be very, very challenging. And if you're coming for regular respite, it's so much better if you can offer them the alternative of the respite coming to you. So that's a big, big part of what we do, community care in Julia's House. And having a portable suitcase of sensory play tech was just fantastic. It revolutionized the way that we could communicate and play with the children and develop their sensory abilities to communicate with the world around them as well. So that was absolutely fantastic. And of course, the magic carpet. You know, we still have the magic carpet with, are there hundreds or thousands of programs on there that you can play? You know, you walk across it and you're kicking a football from one goal to the other, or these autumn leaves billow up around you, or you walk across water and these fish sort of scatter around your feet, and you know, all of that is totally usable by wheelchair users as well. So it's completely revolutionized the way that we can play with the children and encourage them to communicate with us and with those around them.
Thanks, Martin. And using that technology, the ones you've referenced there, magic carpet, that sort of thing, what do you think the impact is on the children? What do they get out of it?
Well, if life is fun, if visits to the hospice are fun, and we're talking about regular respite visits here, then you'll keep coming. You know, end of life care has got to be really, really well done as well. But if a child is coming regularly for respite stays for short periods of time, if they're not fun, or if it's the same old activities every time, the children would just not want to come. So it's all part of making it a really different experience. And whichever child you are, I want them to come to Julia's House, go around the building, and for there to be 3 or 4 points of the building or 3 or 4 different activities where they just go, wow. Now, it might be different for different children, depending on their age or their level of sensory ability. But I think we've managed that not only in the design of the hospices, but also in the play equipment that you've given us.
It's really lovely for us to hear that, knowing that it makes that kind of difference. I'll just move on now, if I may, to Dan, because I know Dan's been there training the team today. Obviously, part of the package that we install comes with installation training, so that the hospice staff can get a real sense of what the technology is and how they might apply it to the children. Dan, I'm just interested to know, how's it gone today? And have you had a well-engaged group of hospice staff?
We've had an exceptionally engaged group of staff here today who have already started to make plans on how they're going to be using the equipment in the coming weeks and months and over the next few years with the children that they provide care for. There's actually 2 pieces of technology that they've been really excited by today. The first being the pod sensory tent. They've already been planning on how they're going to be using it with children who are coming in for care this weekend. And then they've also been really excited by the possibilities of the Oculus Quest 2 for providing new sensory stimulation and new environments in games and activities for children who maybe don't have the opportunity to engage in those sorts of things in their everyday lives.
Brilliant. So it sort of takes them out of themselves, a chance for them to kind of be part of a world that they may not otherwise experience.
Exactly. I think we may have a few converts for home use as well.
Brian, can you give us a quick whistle-stop tour of what we've been installing at Julia's house today?
Yes, of course. One of the first things we've got is the mobile entertainment hub. Inside here we have a projector, which you can see projecting up onto the screen here. That also projector comes up high and can swivel, so it can project onto the ceiling. So if a child's in bed, doesn't want to get up, we can project a film or game console up onto the top, so they can be comfortable whilst they're still playing and watching. Within the hub itself, we've got Sony PS4, Microsoft Xbox, all the controllers, the adaptive controllers, the adaptive gaming kit, which is an array of switches. So it doesn't matter what your ability or condition is, it means that you'll be able to control something in the games console, so you can play against your siblings and other family members and be of an equal term. On here, we have the GoPro camera with a complete accessory package, a waterproof, drop-proof camera with an accessory package there. We have a selection of iPads. We've got, I think we've given them 6 iPads. We've got 2 Oculus portable VR headsets. We have a selection of tech trunks and bags, so they can take the kit out and about, as well as store it in the hospice. We have a selection of Switch toys, a number of switches to go with those. Behind Dan, we're going to turn around, we have the Pod Mini, which is the small version of the Big Pod 10. Same thing again, because it's being smaller, means it can be taken out and about into the community, into the homes, so the staff can allow the children that can't come here to also enjoy it out there. We should have here, where I've stood, a tilt table. Unfortunately, there is a delay in manufacturing, this is where we are at present. That should hopefully arrive in a couple of weeks, and that will complete their package for this year.
Thanks, Brian. And Martin, I want to stress, and I'm sure you know this, but this is, as I mentioned before, part of a 4-year partnership with you. And we pledge to maintain that technology. It's not just about the installation training either. So there's ongoing training for your team as and when they need it. And we know that turnover can be high at times with hospice staff. So if you have new staff who want to learn how to use a particular piece of technology, we'll happily kind of provide some ongoing training for the team just to make sure that they can apply that tech that they've got for the best possible impact on the children that you care for.
Huge thanks to everybody at Lifelight, to all of your staff and all of your supporters for making this possible. We were talking about the Oculus technology earlier. Eye gaze has been so important for children with limited or no movement to be able to interact with and control and play a game with only using their eyes, and to navigate all of the computer play tech using that. That's been crucial. I can also remember some children that we had who are sadly no longer with us, but they had a disease called EB, epidermolysis bullosa, which is a very, very severe skin condition where the skin would lift off and wound at the slightest touch, and having the gel pads as well, so that instead of a hard surface to rest your wrist on, you have a gel pad. Again, it just makes everything so much more accessible, whatever the child is and whatever the condition is. And it's also come into its own in the pandemic. The Playtech has helped us to reach out to children during periods of isolation as well. So it's helped in so much more than in just one place for one group of children. It's helped us to reach out right across all of the children that we're helping in all of their homes as well.
Clearly, you're dealing with some very complex issues and children who've got incredibly intense needs. Do you see that picture changing over the next 4 years? What are you looking at in terms of how your world and the lives of those children is going to change throughout the life cycle of this package?
Well, the general trend is that with advances in medical science, children are living longer with their life-limiting conditions. And this means that they are becoming more mature and developing into new types of play and communication. But it also means that the sheer amount of time that families are under pressure through sleep deprivation, exhaustion, and providing round-the-clock care to their child is lengthening. So the social needs of the child and the mental support needs of the child and giving respite and relief to the parents become even more important. They were already vital, but we are supporting children and their families for longer and experiencing a greater accumulation of stress. And if you add crises on top of that, like the pandemic, then stress levels can go through the roof. So play and making play interactive and technologically up to date is a really important part of supporting those families over longer periods of time. And
you talked about the families, and I think that's a really great point, because it's not just the child that's they're experiencing their kind of life, it's the wider network, isn't it? What would you say is the impact on the families? Do they get involved with the play, with the tech? Are they kind of engaged? Does it allow them to connect in ways that they perhaps wouldn't otherwise do?
Yes, we've had days where whole families come into the hospice. So mum or dad might come in for complementary therapy, a massage, or some sleep. Siblings will come in to play. And if they can play with the child with the life-limiting condition or on their own on other activities, it gives them something to look forward to. And on one of those days, they were counting the days down towards their visit. They were that excited about coming to play. So we can support the whole family in those ways and give them something that's a break from the norm, then that's enormously helpful. But the social impact on families of exhaustion and of facing the same difficult routine every day just cannot be overestimated. So the help that you're providing, I think, brings a little bit of magic into their lives.
Thank you so much for speaking so positively about Lifelight and also for referencing our supporters. So it's a good moment for me to say a big thank you to every single person who's donated towards Lifelights, who's enabled this installation at Julia's House Devices to happen. We wouldn't be able to do that without our supporters. So a huge thank you from everyone at Lifelights and the hospices for your support. All that it leaves me to say is just a big thank you to everyone who's helped to install the tech, to Dan, to Brian, and to your team, Martin, for so enthusiastically getting involved.